What happened when you stopped covering for your mother? The voicemail notification lit up my phone at 2:47 p.m., right as I was walking out of what I thought had been a promising interview at Mitchell & Associates. I'd spent 3 weeks preparing for this marketing coordinator position, researching their client portfolio, practicing answers to behavioral questions, even splurging on a new blazer I couldn't really afford. My stomach dropped when I saw the timestamp. The message had been left 20 minutes ago, right in the middle of my interview. "Hi there, this is Linda Brennan, calling about my daughter Sarah's interview today." Mom's voice slurred through the phone speaker, each word slightly too loose, too loud. "I just wanted you to know what a wonderful girl she is. So responsible, always cleaning up everyone else's messes, you know. She'd be perfect for you because she's used to dealing with difficult people." I closed my eyes, leaning against my Honda Civic in the parking garage. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and somewhere in the distance, a car alarm was going off. Everything felt surreal. Anyway, her voice continued, "I'm having a little celebration drink right now because I'm so proud of her. Maybe we can all celebrate together sometime. I make a mean margarita, well, I make a mean everything, if you know what I mean." Her laugh was that particular drunk laugh I'd learned to recognize by age 12, too long, too bright, completely inappropriate. The message kept going. "Oh, and don't worry if she seems a little uptight in the interview. She gets that from her father's side. But she loosens up once you get a few drinks in her. Anyway, call me back if you have any questions about Sarah. I've got lots of stories." I sat in my car for 47 minutes after listening to that voicemail, watching office workers stream out of the building, probably heading home to normal families where parents didn't sabotage job interviews while drunk at 2:30 on a Wednesday afternoon. This was my breaking point, though I didn't realize it yet. For the past 8 years, since I turned 18 and apparently became the responsible adult in our relationship, I'd been covering for Linda Brennan's drinking. When she missed her shifts at the department store, I'd call in pretending to be her, claiming food poisoning or migraines. When Aunt Carol asked why Mom couldn't make it to Christmas dinner, I'd invent elaborate lies about work emergencies or sudden illnesses. When the electric bill went unpaid because she'd spent the money at Murphy's Tavern, I'd quietly transfer money from my student loan refund to keep the lights on. I'd become a professional excuse maker, a full-time enabler with a master's degree in creative storytelling. And she just cost me what could have been my first real career opportunity. My phone rang. Mitchell & Associates. "Hi Sarah, this is Jennifer from HR. We wanted to follow up about the interesting voicemail we received this afternoon. We're wondering if you'd like to provide some context before we make our final decision." Her voice was carefully neutral, professionally polite, but I could hear the question underneath. Is this the kind of chaos you bring to our workplace? I opened my mouth to start explaining, to begin the familiar routine of damage control I'd perfected over the years. The words were right there, polished and ready. Asterisk, my mother has been under tremendous stress lately. She's dealing with some health issues. This is completely out of character for her. Asterisk. Instead, I heard myself saying something I'd never said before. "I'm sorry, but I can't control my mother's behavior. She made that call without my knowledge, and frankly, this is exactly the kind of thing I'm trying to get away from." The silence on the other end of the phone stretched for what felt like hours. I could hear Jennifer typing something, probably adding notes to my file. Asterisk, candidate has family drama. Mother appears to be intoxicated. Proceed with caution. Asterisk. "I appreciate your honesty, Sarah," she finally said. "We'll be in touch by Friday with our decision." The line went dead. I knew I'd never hear from them again. I drove home to our duplex on Maple Street, the same one we'd moved into when I was 16, after Dad finally stopped sending his guilt money alimony payments. Mom's 2009 Corolla was crooked in the driveway, one wheel on the grass, which meant she'd attempted to drive somewhere between her lunch break and whenever she decided to call my potential employer. She was passed out on the couch when I walked in, still in her Macy's uniform, one shoe on, one shoe off. The TV was blaring some daytime talk show, and there were 3 empty Bud Light cans on the coffee table next to her phone. Her shift didn't end until 6 p.m. It was 4:15. I stood there looking at her, this 52-year-old woman who was supposed to be my mother, and felt something shift inside my chest. Not anger exactly, I burned through anger years ago. This was colder, more final. Like a door closing. My phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Danny. Asterisk, "Hey, did you remind your mom about Saturday? Grandma's really excited about the 80th birthday party. She keeps asking if Linda's bringing her famous potato salad." Asterisk. Grandma Ruth's birthday. I'd completely forgotten in the chaos of interview prep. The whole family would be there, all of Mom's siblings, cousins I hadn't seen in years, and Grandma's church friends. 43 people had RSVP'd, according to Aunt Carol's Facebook event page. Mom had volunteered to help set up at 2 p.m. and bring 3 side dishes. I looked at her sprawled on the couch, makeup smeared, snoring softly. In a normal world, I'd already be planning my damage control strategy. I'd call Aunt Carol and make up some excuse about Mom coming down with something. I'd stop at Kroger tomorrow morning and buy potato salad from the deli counter, transfer it to Mom's ceramic bowl, and show up claiming she was too sick to come but insisted on sending her contribution. I'd spend the whole party deflecting questions and making apologies. But something had broken today, listening to that voicemail in the parking garage. Some essential part of my enabling machinery had finally worn out. Instead of texting Danny back, I walked to the kitchen and opened the cabinet where Mom kept her important papers, a shoebox filled with unpaid bills, overdue notices, and credit card statements she thought I didn't know about. The electric bill was due tomorrow, $247.83, with a bright red, final notice, stamped across the top. The water bill was already 30 days overdue. And there, at the bottom of the stack, was a notice from her manager at Macy's, third and final written warning for excessive absences and tardiness. She was going to lose her job. We were going to lose the apartment. And Saturday, in front of the entire family, everyone was finally going to see what I'd been covering up for 8 years. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't going to save her. I put the bills back exactly where I'd found them, walked upstairs to my room, and started updating my resume. If I was going to let everything fall apart, I needed to be ready to rebuild my own life from whatever pieces remained. The next morning, Mom shuffled into the kitchen at 11:30 a.m. wearing yesterday's uniform, her hair sticking up on one side. Her shift at Macy's had started at 9. "Sarah, honey, can you call the store for me? Tell them I've got that stomach bug that's been going around." She poured coffee with shaking hands, not meeting my eyes. "And maybe grab some Pepto from CVS. I'm feeling really rough." I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, scrolling through Indeed job postings. Remote marketing assistant positions, entry-level communications roles, anything that would get me out of this duplex and this cycle. No. What? She blinked at me, confused, like I'd spoken in a foreign language. I said no. "I'm not calling your work." I clicked on a job listing in Portland, marketing coordinator for a nonprofit, $42,000 starting salary. 1,200 miles away from here. Mom set down her coffee mug so hard it sloshed onto the counter. "Sarah, I'm really sick. I can't lose this job right now, you know that. Just this once, please." "It's not just this once. It's every other Tuesday. It's every time you go to happy hour with Denise and don't come home until 2 a.m. It's every time you spend grocery money at Murphy's and then can't get up for your morning shift." I kept my eyes on the screen, typing a cover letter I'd never send. "And you called Mitchell and Associates yesterday." Her face went pale. What? When? "During my job interview. You left a voicemail for my potential employer, drunk, telling them you make a mean margarita and that I loosen up after a few drinks." The silence stretched between us like a taut wire. I could hear Mrs. Patterson's dog barking next door, and somewhere down the street, a garbage truck was making its rounds. "I don't remember that," she whispered. "You were celebrating my interview. At 2:30 in the afternoon. On a Wednesday. While you were supposed to be at work." I finally looked up at her. "They didn't hire me." Mom sank into the chair across from me, suddenly looking every one of her 52 years. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I was excited for you. I wanted them to know how proud I am. You were drunk. I had one drink with lunch. Maybe two. It was just. Mom." I closed my laptop. There were 3 empty cans on the coffee table when I got home. At 4 p.m. And your car was parked half on the Henderson's lawn. She pressed her hands against her temples. "I'll fix this. I'll call them and explain." "No. You're not calling anyone ever again about my job prospects." My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt Carol, asterisk looking forward to Saturday. "Should I pick up ice, or is Linda handling drinks? Haven't heard back from her about the setup time, asterisk." I showed Mom the message. "Grandma's party is tomorrow. You volunteered to help set up and bring potato salad. And green bean casserole. And dinner rolls for 43 people. She stared at the phone screen, and I watched the realization dawn on her face. "Oh God. That's tomorrow." I thought. "I haven't even bought groceries. The potato salad takes hours, and I need to shower," and she looked at me desperately. "Can you help me? We can go to Kroger right now, get everything we need. Maybe pick up something from the deli, just supplement what I make." "No. Sarah, please. It's your grandmother's 80th birthday. I can't show up empty-handed, and I can't miss it. The whole family will be there. Then you better figure it out." I stood up, tucking my laptop under my arm. "I'm going to the library to job hunt. On my own. You can't just leave me like this." I paused in the doorway, looking back at this woman who'd raised me and ruined me in equal measure. "I've been covering for you since I was 18, Mom. I'm 26 now. I'm done." Her voice cracked behind me. "What am I supposed to tell everyone?" "The truth," I said, and walked out the door. The library became my sanctuary that Friday. I claimed a corner table near the reference section and spent 6 hours applying for jobs, each application feeling like a small act of rebellion. Marketing assistant in Denver. Communications specialist in Austin. Content coordinator in Seattle. Every position was at least 800 miles from Maple Street, from Mom's empty beer cans and slurred 2 a.m. phone calls to relatives. My phone buzzed constantly. Mom, texting in increasingly frantic bursts. Asterisk 2:47 p.m., called in sick. Manager sounded really annoyed. "Can you pick up potatoes on your way home?" Asterisk. Asterisk 3:15 p.m., Sarah please respond. "I need to know what kind of potatoes Grandma likes. Red or russet?" Asterisk. Asterisk 4:02 p.m., Denise says I can borrow her casserole dish but I need to get it tonight. "Are you coming home for dinner?" Asterisk. Asterisk 4:33 p.m., why aren't you answering? "I'm trying to fix this." Asterisk. I turned my phone face down and kept typing cover letters. At 6:47 p.m., my cousin Danny called. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Hey Sarah, weird question. Your mom just called Aunt Carol asking for Grandma's potato salad recipe. But like, Mom thought Linda was bringing her famous potato salad. The one she's made for every family gathering since we were kids." I closed my laptop slowly. "What did Aunt Carol say?" She seemed confused. Started rattling off ingredients, but then asked if everything was okay, because Linda's made that salad 100 times. Mom's worried she's having memory issues or something. Of course. In my family's mythology, Mom was the one with the famous potato salad recipe. The reliable daughter who always brought 3 dishes and helped set up early. They had no idea I'd been the one making those salads for the past 4 years, ever since Mom's hands started shaking too badly to dice celery on Saturday mornings. "Sarah? You there?" "Yeah, sorry. Just. Mom's been stressed about work lately. She's probably just second-guessing herself." The lie came so automatically I barely registered saying it. 26 years old, and I was still running interference. "Okay, well, tell her not to worry about it. Aunt Carol's excited to see everyone tomorrow. Oh, and she asked if Linda needs help getting to the community center." since her car's been acting up. Mom's car wasn't acting up. But last Saturday, I'd found her keys in the refrigerator next to a half-empty bottle of white wine, so I'd started hiding them when she got to a certain level of drunk. Apparently she'd mentioned this to someone, probably spinning it as mechanical trouble instead of admitting her daughter didn't trust her to drive. I'll let her know, I said, adding another lie to my growing collection. After Danny hung up, I sat in the library parking lot as the sun set over downtown. My phone showed 17 unread texts from Mom, the most recent one timestamped 12 minutes ago, asterisk, Sarah, I messed up the grocery list. What goes in green bean casserole besides green beans? Please come home. Asterisk. I could picture her standing in our kitchen, staring at her phone, probably working through her second or third beer of the evening. Tomorrow's party was 18 hours away. She had no food prepared, no clear plan, and based on the spacing between her text messages, she was already drinking away her anxiety about the situation. Every instinct I'd developed over 8 years of crisis management was screaming at me to go home. To stop at Kroger and buy potatoes and green beans and pre-made dinner rolls. To stay up until 3 a.m. making potato salad while Mom passed out on the couch, then wake up early to transport everything to the community center and smile while relatives praised her contributions. Instead, I drove to the Comfort Inn on Highway 9 and paid $89 for a room with 2 double beds and a view of the Applebee's parking lot. I'd never spent the night away from home during one of Mom's crises. I had no idea what would happen if I wasn't there to catch her when she fell. I was about to find out. The hotel room felt like a foreign country. I sat on the scratchy comforter, staring at my phone as message after message lit up the screen. Mom's texts had evolved from frantic to desperate to something that looked like bargaining. Asterisk 8:23 p.m. Okay, I found a recipe online. Store closes at 10. Can you just tell me if I need mayonnaise or Miracle Whip? Asterisk. Asterisk 8:41 p.m. Sarah, I know you're mad, but please don't punish Grandma Ruth for my mistakes. Asterisk. Asterisk 9:15 p.m. Called Denise. She's coming over to help cook. Everything will be fine. Asterisk. That last one made me laugh, a bitter sound that echoed off the hotel room walls. Denise Morrison, Mom's drinking buddy since high school, who'd been fired from 3 different restaurant jobs for showing up hungover. If Mom was calling Denise for cooking backup, tomorrow was going to be a disaster of epic proportions. My phone rang at 9:47 p.m. Aunt Carol. Sarah, honey, I just got the strangest call from your mother. She wanted to know what time the community center opens tomorrow, and when I told her we'd already discussed the 2 p.m. setup time, she seemed completely confused. Is everything all right? I pressed my face into the hotel pillow that smelled like industrial detergent and chlorine bleach. Through the thin walls, I could hear the couple next door watching what sounded like a cooking show, someone explaining the proper way to fold dumpling dough. She's been working a lot of overtime, I heard myself say. She's probably just tired. Well, that's wonderful that Macy's is giving her extra hours. But Sarah, she also asked me to remind her what she'd volunteered to bring, which struck me as odd since she specifically insisted on handling the potato salad when we planned this back in March. She said nobody makes it like she does. March. I remembered that conversation, because I'd been the one who answered Mom's phone when Aunt Carol called. Mom had been passed out in her bedroom at 3 p.m. on a Sunday, still wearing Saturday night's clothes, so I'd handled the entire party planning discussion. I was the one who volunteered her to bring 3 dishes. I was the one who assured Aunt Carol that Mom's potato salad was always a hit. Maybe she's just nervous about Grandma's big day, I said. You know how she wants everything to be perfect. Of course, you're absolutely right. Your mother always goes above and beyond for family events. Remember your graduation party? She must have spent 2 days preparing food for everyone. She hadn't. I'd spent 2 days preparing food while Mom recovered from what she'd called a minor case of food poisoning, but what I'd recognized as a 3-day bender that started when my college acceptance letter arrived. Even then, I'd been so desperate to maintain the family fiction that I'd let everyone believe Mom was the one who'd made the sheet cake and organized the whole celebration. Aunt Carol, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart. What do you actually remember about Mom at family events? Like, specifically. Not the food or the setup, but her. There was a long pause. Well, she's always so helpful behind the scenes. Very organized, gets everything ready ahead of time. Although. Another pause. Now that I think about it, she does tend to get quiet during the actual gatherings. I always assumed she was tired from all the preparation work. Quiet. That was one way to describe it. What Aunt Carol remembered as Mom being quiet was actually Mom nursing hangovers or sneaking drinks in the community center bathroom. The few times she'd been genuinely sober at family events, she'd spent them anxiously checking her phone and leaving early, claiming exhaustion. She's just shy in big groups, I said automatically. You're such a good daughter, Sarah. Always looking out for your mother, making sure she doesn't overextend herself. Linda's lucky to have you. After Aunt Carol hung up, I sat in the dark hotel room watching car headlights sweep across the ceiling. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Asterisk 10:34 p.m. Hi, this is Denise. Your mom asked me to tell you we got most of the groceries. She's feeling better. See you tomorrow at the party. Party popper, asterisk. I called the number back immediately. Denise answered on the 4th ring, her voice slightly slurred. Sarah. We were just talking about you. Your mom's doing great, we're having a little planning session. Denise, did you two drive to the grocery store? What? Oh, no honey, we had groceries delivered. That app thing, you know. Technology is amazing. We got everything on the list. In the background, I could hear Mom laughing too loudly at something, and the unmistakable sound of bottles clinking together. What list, Denise? The one for tomorrow. Potatoes, green beans, those little onion things for the casserole. And we got some wine for cooking. You know, for flavor. My stomach dropped. How much wine? Just a couple bottles. Maybe 3. Your mom wanted to make sure she had enough for the recipe. Very thorough, your mother. Very detailed-oriented. The line went quiet except for more background laughter and what sounded like a blender running. Denise, what are you two making right now? Margaritas. For energy. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, lots of cooking. We're carb loading. That's what athletes do, right? I hung up and immediately called Mom. Straight to voicemail. It was 10:52 p.m. Grandma Ruth's birthday party was in 15 hours. And instead of sleeping off her anxiety like I'd hoped, Mom was getting drunk with Denise while planning to cook for 43 people. For the first time since I'd walked out that morning, I felt genuine panic creeping up my throat. This wasn't just going to be embarrassing. This was going to be catastrophic. And I was 12 miles away in a hotel room, finally understanding the difference between letting someone face consequences and letting them destroy themselves in front of everyone who mattered. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured Mom and Denise in our kitchen at 2 a.m., attempting to make potato salad while blackout drunk. I imagined them showing up to Grandma's party 3 hours late with a casserole dish full of raw potatoes and mayonnaise, Mom slurring her way through, happy birthday, while 43 relatives watched in horror. At 6:15 a.m., I broke. I drove home. The front door was unlocked, which immediately set off every alarm bell I'd learned to recognize. Mom never left doors unlocked unless she was too drunk to remember basic security. I found her passed out on the kitchen floor, still wearing yesterday's Macy's uniform, surrounded by what looked like the aftermath of a cooking show filmed during an earthquake. Every cabinet door was open. There were potato peels scattered across the counter and somehow on the ceiling. An empty bottle of white wine sat next to a half-assembled green bean casserole that appeared to contain actual cat food, until I looked closer and realized it was a can of French fried onions that had been opened with what looked like a screwdriver. The can opener was in the sink, covered in something brown and sticky. Denise was nowhere to be found, but she'd left evidence of her presence: 2 empty margarita mix bottles, a lime cut into 17 uneven pieces, and a note written in purple gel pen on the back of an electric bill: Linda, had to go home. Doug suspicious about the car. Good luck tomorrow. You got this. XOXO. I checked my phone. 7 missed calls from Mom between 2:33 a.m. and 4:16 a.m., and 1 voicemail left at 3:47. Sarah, honey, it's Mom. Denise had to leave but we got so much done. The casserole is basically finished, just needs to go in the oven. And I figured out a shortcut for the potato salad: you just microwave the potatoes instead of boiling them. Much faster. Anyway, I might rest my eyes for just a few minutes before I finish everything. The party isn't until 2, so I have plenty of time. Love you, sweetie. Thanks for all your help with everything. I looked at the microwave. The door was hanging open, and inside was a plate containing 4 whole, unpeeled potatoes that had exploded like grenades. Chunks of potato flesh were welded to the microwave walls, and the smell was indescribable. The party was in 7 hours. Mom stirred when I knelt down next to her, checking to make sure she was breathing normally. Her eyes opened slowly, unfocused and bloodshot. Sarah. What time is it? Did I miss work? She tried to sit up, winced, and pressed her hand to her forehead. Why does everything hurt? It's Saturday morning, Mom. Grandma's party is today. The confusion on her face shifted into panic so fast it was almost comical. She scrambled to her feet, swaying slightly, and spun around to survey the kitchen disaster. Oh God. Oh no. What happened here? Where's the potato salad I was making? She opened the refrigerator and stared into it like the answers to all her problems might be hiding behind the milk jug. Sarah, why isn't there any food in here? The party is today. You and Denise got drunk and tried to cook. It didn't go well. She turned to face me, and I saw something I'd never seen before: complete, undisguised terror. Not the manageable anxiety of a missed work shift or an overdue bill. This was the look of someone who'd finally pushed their luck too far and realized they were about to lose everything. Help me, she whispered. Please. I know you're mad, and I know I messed up, but I can't. I can't show up to my mother's 80th birthday with nothing. The whole family is counting on me. I stood in that destroyed kitchen, looking at this woman who'd spent the last 8 years training me to be her safety net, and felt the weight of 26 years of decisions pressing down on my shoulders. I could have saved her. Even standing in that disaster zone of a kitchen, with potato shrapnel coating the microwave and the smell of fermented vegetables hanging in the air, I could have made it work. I'd done it before with less time and worse circumstances. There was a 24-hour Walmart 15 miles away, a Costco that opened at 8 a.m., and if I moved fast enough, I could have had 3 presentable dishes ready by 1:30. But something had crystallized during my sleepless night at the Comfort Inn. It wasn't just about this party, or this weekend, or even this year. It was about the next crisis, and the one after that, and the slow realization that I was going to be 36, 46, 56 years old, still standing in kitchens at 6 a.m., cleaning up messes I didn't make for someone who would never, ever learn to stop making them. I can't help you anymore, Mom. She blinked at me like I'd spoken in code. What do you mean you can't help? Sarah, this is an emergency. We can fix this together, we always do. No, I always fix it. You make the mess, pass out, and wake up confused about how everything magically worked out. I pulled my car keys from my pocket. I'm going to Grandma's party at 2 p.m. You can come or not come, bring food or not bring food, but I'm done being responsible for your choices. You can't just abandon me. I'm not abandoning you. I'm letting you be an adult. The panic in her eyes shifted to something uglier, anger mixed with disbelief. This is about that stupid job interview, isn't it? You're punishing me because of one little mistake. One little mistake. I laughed, a sound with no humor in it. Mom, you're about to lose your job at Macy's. That notice from your manager is still in the kitchen cabinet. 3 strikes, and you're out. Yesterday was probably strike 4. Her face went pale. You went through my papers. I've been going through your papers for years. The electric bill that's due today, $247.83. The water bill that's 30 days overdue. The credit card statements you hide under the insurance documents. I know about all of it because I'm the one who's been keeping us afloat. She sank into a kitchen chair, suddenly looking small and old. I was going to handle the bills this weekend. After the party. With what money? You spent your grocery budget on wine yesterday, and there's $23.17 in our checking account. I checked this morning. For a moment, she looked genuinely confused. That can't be right. I just got paid on Thursday. You got paid $312 after taxes. You spent $87 at Murphy's Tavern Thursday night, it's on the bank app. Another $45 at the liquor store Friday morning. The grocery delivery last night was $89.73, but you gave Denise $60 in cash to split the cost, even though she only paid for half the wine. The numbers fell between us like stones. I'd been tracking Mom's spending for 3 years, originally to help her budget, then to predict when the next crisis would hit, and finally just to maintain some illusion that I understood where we stood financially. Sarah, I don't. She pressed her hands against her temples. I don't remember spending that much. That's the problem, Mom. You never remember. My phone buzzed with a text from Aunt Carol, running early to set up decorations. Can't wait to see Linda's potato salad. Grandma specifically asked about it this morning. Smiling face with smiling eyes. I showed Mom the message. 43 people are going to be at this party. Grandma Ruth has been telling her church friends about your famous potato salad since March. Aunt Carol already put you down for setup duty at 2 p.m. What are you going to tell them? She stared at the phone screen, and I watched the full scope of today's catastrophe finally sink in. Her mother's 80th birthday party. The entire extended family. Her reputation as the reliable daughter, the one who always brought the best dishes and helped behind the scenes. I could say I got sick. Food poisoning. You could bring something from the store and say it's from me. No. Sarah, please. Just this one last time, I swear. After today, things will be different. I'll get help, I'll stop drinking, You've said that before. After Christmas dinner 2 years ago when you passed out in Aunt Carol's bathroom. After Easter when you forgot to bring the ham and I had to convince Uncle Mike it was a miscommunication. After Danny's wedding when you cried through the entire ceremony because you'd mixed your anxiety medication with champagne. Each memory hit her like a physical blow. I could see her trying to reconcile her version of events, the carefully edited highlights where she was always the victim of bad luck or temporary stress, with the reality I'd been managing behind the scenes. What am I supposed to do? She whispered. Tell them the truth. Show up and explain that you have a drinking problem and you couldn't make the food because you were drunk last night. Or don't show up, and let them draw their own conclusions. I walked toward the front door, leaving her sitting in the wreckage of her kitchen. At the threshold, I turned back. I'll be at Grandma's party at 2 p.m. If you decide to come sober. The door closed behind me with a soft click, and for the first time in 8 years, Linda Brennan was completely alone with the consequences of her choices. I spent the morning at a coffee shop downtown, nursing a latte and refreshing my email every few minutes like job opportunities might materialize through sheer willpower. My phone sat face down on the small round table, but I could feel it buzzing intermittently against the wood. I didn't look. At 12:30 p.m., I finally flipped it over. 17 missed calls from Mom, 12 from various relatives, and a string of increasingly frantic text messages that painted a picture I didn't want to see. Asterisk 9:23 a.m. Mom, Sarah, where did you put the car keys? I need to go to the store. Asterisk. Asterisk 10:15 a.m. Aunt Carol, honey, your mom just called asking what time Grandma's party starts. Didn't we confirm 2 p.m. weeks ago? Asterisk. Asterisk 11:02 a.m. Danny, dude, what's going on? Mom just got a weird call from Aunt Linda asking if we can push back Grandma's party a few hours. She sounded really off. Asterisk. Asterisk 11:33 a.m. Mom, the store delivery app isn't working and I can't find my wallet. Can you bring me $200 cash? I'll pay you back for my next check. Asterisk. Asterisk 12:18 p.m. Aunt Carol, Sarah, I'm getting concerned. Your mother called me 3 times in the past hour asking about the party details. The third time she didn't seem to remember our previous conversations. Should I be worried? Asterisk. The most recent message was from Uncle Dave, Mom's older brother who lived 2 states away and only surfaced for major family events. Asterisk, Carol called me. Says Linda's acting strange. You know what's going on with your mom? Asterisk. My stomach clenched. Uncle Dave asking direct questions was bad news. He was the family's designated straight talker, the one who confronted Dad about his gambling problem back when I was 12, and the one who'd staged an intervention for their youngest brother Tommy when his prescription pill habit got out of control. If Uncle Dave was getting involved, it meant the family was starting to connect dots I'd been scrambling to keep separate for years. I typed and deleted responses for 10 minutes before settling on, asterisk, she's been under a lot of stress with work. Probably just overwhelmed about today. Asterisk. His response came back immediately, asterisk, stress doesn't make someone forget their own mother's birthday party 3 times in one morning. We need to talk after today. Asterisk. At 1:15 p.m., I drove to Riverside Community Center. The parking lot was already half full, and I could see Aunt Carol through the windows, hanging streamers while my cousin Jenny arranged flowers on the head table. Normal family members doing normal family things, completely unaware that their carefully planned celebration was about to implode. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, watching relatives I hadn't seen in months carry covered dishes and gift bags through the front entrance. Mrs. Patterson from Mom's church arrived with what looked like a sheet cake. The Morrison twins, distant cousins from Dad's side who somehow always made it to Brennan family events, were struggling to carry an enormous gift basket between them. 43 people. Grandma Ruth's 80th birthday. And I was about to let it all fall apart. My phone rang. Mom. Sarah, thank God. Listen, I figured out a solution. There's a Kroger with a hot food bar about 20 minutes from the community center. I can grab potato salad and green bean casserole from their deli, transfer everything to my dishes, and nobody will know the difference. Her voice was steady, almost chipper, but I could hear something else underneath, the careful pronunciation of someone who was concentrating very hard on not slurring their words. Mom, are you drinking right now? What? No. I had one glass of wine with lunch to calm my nerves, but I'm fine to drive. I found my keys in the couch cushions, and my wallet was in the laundry basket, so everything's working out. One glass of wine. At 1:20 p.m. On top of last night's disaster. Where are you? I'm getting dressed. I found that blue dress you like, the one I wore to Danny's graduation. I'll be there by 2:30, maybe 2:45 with the food. Can you stall for me if people ask where I am? Through the community center windows, I could see Grandma Ruth arriving in Uncle Mike's SUV. She was wearing a bright purple dress and a corsage, moving slowly but steadily with her walker, smiling at everyone who rushed over to greet her. At 80 years old, she'd outlived 2 husbands, raised 6 children, and somehow maintained the kind of unshakable optimism that made everyone want to be around her. She was going to ask about Mom's potato salad within the first 10 minutes. She always did. Sarah. Are you there? Can you cover for me until I get there? No, Mom. I told you this morning. I'm done covering. But I have a plan now. I figured it out. You don't have to do anything except maybe distract people while I set up the food. I watched Uncle Dave's truck pull into the parking lot. He climbed out slowly, scanning the other cars like he was looking for something specific. Mom's 2009 Corolla wasn't there. I have to go, Mom. The party's starting. Sarah, wait. I hung up and turned off my phone. Inside the community center, the transformation was remarkable. Aunt Carol had outdone herself with decorations, purple and gold streamers, photos of Grandma Ruth spanning 8 decades, and a memory board where people were already pinning handwritten notes. The food tables were loaded with covered dishes, and the whole space smelled like a church potluck mixed with birthday cake. Sarah. Grandma Ruth's voice cut through the crowd, and I felt my chest tighten with guilt. She was beaming at me from her seat at the head table, surrounded by cousins and church friends. Come here, sweetheart. Where's your mother? I've been looking forward to her potato salad all week. This was it. The moment I'd been dreading and avoiding for 8 years. She's running a little late, Grandma. She'll be here soon. The lie came out automatically, a reflex I couldn't seem to break even when I was trying to stop enabling. But as I looked around the room, at all these people who'd driven hours to be here, who'd brought gifts and food and genuine excitement for celebrating Grandma Ruth, I realized I wasn't just protecting Mom anymore. I was protecting all of them from the truth about who she really was. 20 minutes later, Mom's car lurched into the parking lot like a drunk person trying to walk a straight line. I watched through the window as she sat behind the wheel for almost 5 minutes, probably gathering courage or waiting for the world to stop spinning. When she finally got out, she was carrying a single plastic grocery bag and moving with the exaggerated care of someone pretending to be sober. The blue dress she'd mentioned was wrinkled and had what looked like a coffee stain down the front. Her hair was half-curled, like she'd started styling it and forgotten to finish. But it was her face that made my stomach drop. She had that glassy-eyed, overly bright expression that meant she was past 1 glass of wine and well into functioning blackout territory. I positioned myself near the entrance, partly to intercept her and partly because I couldn't bear to watch from across the room. When Mom pushed through the double doors, the blast of cold air that followed her carried the unmistakable smell of cheap white wine and breath mints. Sarah. She hugged me too tightly, her voice pitched higher than normal. See? I told you I'd figure it out. Crisis averted. She held up the grocery bag like a trophy. Through the thin plastic, I could see a single container of store-bought potato salad, the kind that came in a plastic tub with a peel-off lid. Maybe 2 pounds total, enough to feed 10 people if they were being polite about portion sizes. Mom, there are 43 people here. What? No, Carol said it was a small family gathering. Maybe 20 people. She looked around the crowded room with genuine confusion, like she was seeing it for the first time. When did all these people get here? Before I could answer, Aunt Carol materialized beside us wearing a hostess smile and a floral apron that read, "Birthday girl's daughter." Linda. There you are. We were starting to worry. She pulled Mom into a hug, and I watched her expression shift slightly as she registered the wine smell. How are you feeling, honey? You sounded a little under the weather when you called this morning. I'm perfect. Mom's voice was too loud, drawing glances from nearby relatives. Just had to make a quick stop for last-minute ingredients. You know how it is with cooking, always forgetting something. She held up the grocery bag again, and Aunt Carol's eyes focused on the store-bought container visible through the plastic. Oh, Linda, you didn't have to go to all that trouble. Especially if you're not feeling well. We have plenty of food. Nonsense. I promise potato salad, and I deliver on my promises. Mom was already walking toward the food table with determined, slightly unsteady steps. Where should I put this? Next to the other sides. I followed them across the room, watching family members turn to greet Mom with varying degrees of enthusiasm. Cousin Jenny waved from the cake table. Uncle Mike called out, "There's Linda," from his spot near the punch bowl. And Grandma Ruth's face lit up with pure joy when she spotted her daughter weaving through the crowd. My Linda. I was just telling Mrs. Henderson about your famous potato salad. She's been asking for the recipe for months. Mom's smile faltered for just a second, so briefly that anyone who hadn't spent years studying her facial expressions might have missed it. But I saw the moment of panic, quickly covered by an even brighter grin. Well, maybe after the party we can talk recipes, Mom said, fumbling with the grocery bag. The plastic tore slightly, and she had to grab the container before it fell. First, let me get this beautiful salad properly displayed. She peeled off the store's price sticker and dumped the contents into her ceramic serving bowl, the same one I'd used for the past 4 years when I'd made the real potato salad at midnight while she slept off her anxiety. The portions looked pathetic in the large bowl, barely covering the bottom. Uncle Dave appeared at my elbow, his expression grim. Sarah, we need to talk. I nodded at Uncle Dave, but before we could step away, the situation at the food table escalated. Mrs. Henderson, Grandma's 70-something church friend, had approached Mom's potato salad with the enthusiasm of someone who'd been promised a legendary family recipe. "Linda, dear, this looks different than usual," Mrs. Henderson said, holding up a serving spoon with a tiny portion. "Did you try a new recipe?" Mom's laugh was too sharp, too quick. "Oh, you know me. Always experimenting. I added some special ingredients this time. It tastes very fresh," Mrs. Henderson said diplomatically, but her confused expression suggested she was trying to reconcile the bland, obviously store-bought flavor with months of anticipation. Uncle Dave's hand tightened on my arm. "Kitchen. Now." We walked toward the community center's small prep kitchen, but I could still hear Mom behind us, her voice getting progressively louder as more people sampled her homemade potato salad. She was overcompensating, talking faster and gesturing more dramatically with each interaction. "Sarah," Uncle Dave closed the kitchen door behind us. "Your mother is drunk." The words hung between us like an accusation. After 8 years of careful deflection and creative excuses, someone had finally said it out loud. "She had wine with lunch," I said automatically. "She's just nervous about the party." "Cut the shit." His voice was gentler than his words, but firm. "I've been watching her for 20 minutes. She's slurring her words, she can barely walk straight, and she showed up to our mother's 80th birthday with grocery store potato salad because she was too wasted to cook." Through the kitchen serving window, I could see Mom cornering cousin Jenny by the gift table, gesticulating wildly as she told some animated story. Jenny kept glancing around like she was looking for an escape route. "This isn't a one-time thing, is it?" Uncle Dave continued. "Carol mentioned she's been acting strange all week. Forgetting conversations, calling multiple times with the same questions. And you." He studied my face carefully. "You don't look surprised by any of this." I felt something crumble inside my chest. The careful wall I'd built between Mom's problems and the family's perception was finally breaking down, and I was too exhausted to keep rebuilding it. "It's been going on for years," I whispered. "How many years?" "Since Dad left. Maybe longer. I started covering for her when I turned 18. Uncle Dave ran his hands through his gray hair, suddenly looking every one of his 58 years. "Jesus Christ, Sarah. 8 years? You've been handling this alone for 8 years?" Through the window, I watched Mom approach Grandma Ruth's table with unsteady steps. She was carrying a glass of something that definitely wasn't punch, and her voice was carrying across the room as she launched into what sounded like an inappropriate story about her coworkers at Macy's. "She's about to lose her job," I found myself saying. 3 written warnings for missing work. "The bills are piling up, and I've been using my savings to keep the lights on. Last Wednesday, she called my potential employer while drunk and cost me a job interview. Why didn't you call me? Or Carol? Or literally anyone in this family?" "Because she's my mom," I said, the words feeling hollow as soon as I spoke them. "And because I thought I could fix it. I thought if I just managed things better, covered more carefully, she'd eventually get better on her own." A burst of laughter from the main room caught our attention. Through the window, we could see Mom had somehow knocked over the punch bowl while gesturing, and pink liquid was spreading across the tablecloth toward the gift pile. Aunt Carol was frantically grabbing napkins while other relatives rushed to move presents out of the spill zone. "That's my breaking point," Uncle Dave said quietly. "I can't watch her destroy Mom's birthday party." He pushed through the kitchen door before I could stop him, and I watched him stride across the room toward Mom with the determined expression of someone who'd finally run out of patience. This was it, the moment everything I'd been protecting for 8 years was about to explode in front of 43 family members and Grandma Ruth's church friends. I followed him out of the kitchen, my heart hammering against my ribs, finally understanding that some catastrophes are too big to prevent and too important to postpone. Uncle Dave reached Mom just as she was trying to clean up the punch spill with her bare hands, smearing pink liquid across her blue dress while laughing too loudly about Butterfingers. The entire room had gone quiet except for her voice, which seemed to echo off the walls. "Linda, let's get you some air," he said, taking her elbow gently but firmly. "Dave. My big brother." She threw her arms around his neck, nearly knocking him off balance. "Isn't this the most beautiful party? Mom looks so happy, and everyone's having such a good time, and my potato salad is a huge hit. Linda." His voice cut through her rambling. "Come outside with me. We need to talk." Something in his tone must have penetrated her alcohol-fogged brain because her smile faltered. "Is everything okay? Did I do something wrong? The punch was an accident, I was just outside. Now." I watched them walk toward the exit, Mom stumbling slightly on the threshold while Uncle Dave steadied her. Behind them, the party had fractured into uncomfortable clusters of whispering relatives. Aunt Carol was still dabbing at the tablecloth, but her movements had become mechanical, distracted. Grandma Ruth sat at the head table looking confused and small, her corsage slightly wilted. "Sarah." Cousin Jenny appeared at my side, her voice carefully neutral. "Is Aunt Linda, is she sick?" Before I could formulate another lie, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, *, "This is Richard from Mitchell and Associates. We've reconsidered your application based on your honesty during our last conversation. Would you be available for a second interview Monday at 10 a.m., *. I stared at the screen, reading the message 3 times. The job I thought I'd lost because of Mom's drunken voicemail, they wanted to see me again. On Monday. In 3 days. While my life was imploding in a community center 40 miles from their office. Through the windows, I could see Uncle Dave and Mom in the parking lot. She was gesturing frantically, her voice rising even though I couldn't make out the words. He stood with his arms crossed, his expression getting darker by the minute. Other family members were starting to drift toward the windows, drawn by the obvious drama playing out in full view. "Oh my," Mrs. Henderson appeared beside Jenny, clutching her purse. "I hope Linda's feeling better soon. Perhaps I should head home, give the family some privacy." More church friends were gathering their things, casting sympathetic glances toward Grandma Ruth. The birthday girl sat surrounded by half-eaten cake and wilted decorations, watching her daughters melt down through the window with an expression I'd never seen before, not anger or disappointment, but something worse. Recognition. My phone rang. Unknown number with a local area code. Is this Sarah Brennan? The voice was crisp, professional. Yes. This is Janet Morrison from Macy's HR department. I'm calling regarding your mother, Linda Brennan. She was scheduled to work today but failed to show up or call in, which constitutes job abandonment under our policy. I need to speak with her immediately about her employment status. I looked around the community center, at the spilled punch, the departing guests, my grandmother's bewildered face, and the parking lot confrontation that was drawing more spectators by the minute. She's not available right now, I said. Ms. Brennan, this is her fourth unexcused absence in 6 weeks. If I don't hear from her by 5 p.m. today, her employment will be automatically terminated. It was 3:27 p.m. Mom had 93 minutes to save her job, and she was currently drunk in a parking lot, screaming at Uncle Dave about family loyalty while Grandma Ruth's 80th birthday party collapsed around us. For the first time in 8 years, the timing was completely out of my hands. Through the window, I watched Uncle Dave's patience finally snap. His voice carried across the parking lot, loud enough that people inside started moving closer to the glass. Linda, you're drunk at your own mother's birthday party. Look at yourself. Mom's response was a wail that made my chest tighten with secondhand embarrassment. I'm not drunk. I had 1 glass of wine. Everyone's being so mean to me today. 1 glass. Uncle Dave's laugh was bitter. You can barely stand up straight, and you brought store-bought potato salad to a party where 43 people were expecting your famous recipe, the one Sarah's probably been making for years while you were passed out on your couch. The accuracy of his guess hit me like a physical blow. Even Uncle Dave, who lived in Michigan and only saw us twice a year, had figured out the truth I'd been desperately trying to hide. Inside, Cousin Danny appeared beside me, his face pale. Sarah, how long has she been like this? Before I could answer, my phone started ringing again. Macy's HR. I let it go to voicemail. Danny, I need you to do me a favor, I said, watching Mom collapse onto the hood of her car like her legs had given out. Can you drive me home after this? I don't think she should be driving. Of course, but, Sarah, why didn't you tell anyone? We could have helped. I almost laughed. Helped how? By staging an intervention she'd refused to attend. By offering to pay for rehab she'd never agreed to. By taking away her car keys so she'd lose her job faster. By not making you handle it alone for 8 fucking years. The profanity was so unlike Danny that several nearby relatives turned to stare. Aunt Carol approached us, wringing her hands and looking like she was about to cry. Sarah, honey, what should we do? Mother keeps asking where Linda went, and half the church ladies have left already. Should we keep going with the party? I looked at Grandma Ruth, still sitting at the head table in her purple dress and wilted corsage, watching her daughters break down through the window with an expression of heartbreak that was going to haunt me for years. Keep going, I said. It's her 80th birthday. She deserves to have her party. Aunt Carol nodded and started rallying the remaining relatives, but the damage was done. The easy family atmosphere had been replaced by awkward whispers and careful glances. People were eating cake mechanically, making polite conversation while stealing looks at the parking lot drama. My phone buzzed with another voicemail from Macy's, then immediately started ringing again. This time it was a number I recognized, our landlord, Mr. Peterson. Sarah. I'm calling about next month's rent. It was due yesterday, and the check you gave me bounced. The bank fee puts you at $1,247 total now. I need payment by Tuesday or I'll have to start eviction proceedings. I closed my eyes, leaning against the community center wall. The rent check that bounced. Of course it did. I'd written it assuming Mom's paycheck would clear first, but if she'd missed work Friday and Saturday, there probably wasn't enough in the account to cover her direct deposit. Mr. Peterson, can I call you back on Monday? There's been a family emergency. Sarah, I like you, but this is the 3rd time in 6 months. I've got bills too. Through the window, I watched Uncle Dave walk back toward the building, leaving Mom sitting alone on her car hood, crying into her hands. His face was grim, and when he caught my eye through the glass, he shook his head slightly. He pushed through the doors and made a beeline for me. She's in no condition to drive, and she's refusing to let me take her home. Says everyone's ganging up on her and she just wants to celebrate her mother's birthday in peace. What did you tell her? The truth. That she needs help, that this family isn't going to keep pretending everything's fine, and that she's embarrassing herself in front of everyone who matters to her. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom, *, Sarah please come outside. Uncle Dave is being mean and I need you to drive me home. I don't feel good. *. I looked around the community center, at my grandmother trying to smile while her church friends whispered, at my cousins attempting to salvage some joy from the wreckage, at the spilled punch and abandoned gift table. No, I said out loud, surprising myself. Uncle Dave raised his eyebrows. No what? I'm not going out there. I'm not driving her home, I'm not making excuses, and I'm not leaving Grandma's party to clean up another mess. I turned off my phone completely. For once, she can figure it out herself. Uncle Dave stared at me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Good. It's about damn time. But the relief I expected to feel never came. Instead, I watched through the window as Mom slid off her car hood and started walking back toward the community center, her steps uneven but determined. She was coming back inside. Oh no, Cousin Jenny whispered beside me. She's not done. The double doors burst open, and Mom stumbled back into the party like she was making a grand entrance. Her blue dress was now stained with punch, tears, and something that looked like parking lot gravel. Her half-curled hair had gone completely flat on one side. Everyone, she announced, her voice carrying across the room. I have something important to say. The remaining relatives, maybe 25 people now, turned toward her with expressions ranging from concern to mortification. Grandma Ruth's face went pale. Linda, maybe we should, Aunt Carol started, but Mom waved her off. No, Carol, this is important. I want everyone to know what a wonderful daughter I have. Mom's gaze found me across the room, her eyes glassy with tears and alcohol. Sarah has been taking care of everything for years. Everything. The bills, the cooking, the cleaning, calling in sick for me when I couldn't. Mom, stop. I moved toward her, but Uncle Dave caught my arm. Let her talk, he said quietly. Let everyone hear it. She made the potato salad. Mom continued, gesturing wildly toward the nearly empty serving bowl. Every family gathering, every holiday, every time you complimented my cooking, it was Sarah. My beautiful, responsible daughter who covers for her mess of a mother. The silence that followed was deafening. I could hear the air conditioning humming, someone's phone vibrating against a table, the distant sound of traffic on Highway 9. Mrs. Henderson, one of the few church friends still remaining, cleared her throat delicately. Linda, dear, perhaps you'd like to sit down. I'm not finished. Mom's voice cracked. You all think I'm this terrible person, this drunk who ruined her mother's birthday party. But you don't understand the pressure. Sarah's father left, took his steady paycheck and his insurance and his. She swayed slightly, catching herself on a folding chair. I've been drowning for 8 years, and my 18-year-old daughter became my life preserver. You made her your life preserver, Uncle Dave said, his voice cutting through her rambling. There's a difference. Mom whirled toward him, nearly losing her balance. Easy for you to judge from Michigan. Where were you when Tom walked out? Where were any of you when I was working double shifts and coming home to a teenager who was more mature than I was? We were here, Aunt Carol said quietly. We invited you to holiday dinners you canceled. We offered help you refused. We called and texted and tried to stay involved while you disappeared into that house on Maple Street. The truth of that statement hit me like a physical blow. I remembered those invitations, those offers of help, those concerned phone calls I'd intercepted and deflected. Mom's just tired, I told them. She's working so much. She'll call you back when she's feeling better. I'd been so focused on protecting her that I'd isolated us both. My phone, still tucked in my pocket despite being turned off, felt like it was burning through the fabric. 2 job interviews this week, Mitchell and Associates wanting a second chance, and probably 3 voicemails from Macy's HR. Our rent was overdue, the utilities were about to be shut off, and Mom had just confessed to 25 relatives that I'd been running our household since I was 18. Sarah, Grandma Ruth's voice was soft but clear, cutting through the tension like a knife. Come here, sweetheart. I walked over to her table, hyper-aware of every eye in the room following my movement. She reached up with a shaky hand and touched my cheek. How long since you've had a birthday party of your own? She asked. The question was so unexpected, so gentle, that I felt tears spring to my eyes. What? Your birthday. When's the last time someone threw you a party, made you a cake, celebrated you? I couldn't remember. The last few years, my birthday had been just another day when I had to make sure Mom got to work on time and the bills got paid. If anyone remembered, and usually, they didn't, it was takeout Chinese food and a card bought at the last minute from CVS. That's what I thought, Grandma Ruth said, her voice carrying across the silent room. Linda, you need help. Professional help. And Sarah. She squeezed my hand. You need to let us love you without it being a crisis. Behind me, I could hear Mom starting to cry again, but for the first time in 8 years, I didn't turn around to comfort her. I stayed with Grandma Ruth for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, her weathered hand still holding mine while Mom's sobs echoed behind us. The remaining relatives had formed an awkward circle around the drama, nobody quite sure whether to intervene or pretend they weren't witnessing the complete breakdown of our family's carefully maintained facade. My phone, despite being turned off, had somehow buzzed back to life in my pocket, probably the battery resetting itself. The notification sounds were constant now, text messages, missed calls, voicemails piling up like debris after a storm. I could see other people in the room checking their phones too, and I realized with growing horror that this scene was probably already being texted about, shared in family group chats I wasn't part of. Sarah, Danny appeared at my elbow, his voice urgent. You need to see this. He held up his phone, showing me a text thread labeled Brennan Family Updates, with 12 participants, apparently every adult cousin and aunt. The messages were a real-time commentary on today's disaster. Asterisk Carol, 4:23 p.m., Linda clearly needs help. Should we discuss intervention options? Asterisk. Asterisk Mike, 4:24 p.m., been wondering about this for months. Sarah looks exhausted every time I see her. Asterisk. Asterisk Jenny, 4:25 p.m., why didn't anyone say something? We've all noticed weird stuff at family events. Asterisk. Asterisk Dave, 4:26 p.m., because Sarah's been covering so well we convinced ourselves everything was fine. Asterisk. There's more, Danny said, scrolling up. This thread's been going for 2 hours. Ever since you walked in today, people have been comparing notes. Mom posted about how you looked stressed and thin at Easter. Jenny mentioned that Aunt Linda's been calling her at weird hours asking the same questions repeatedly. Uncle Mike said he's been worried since Christmas when she fell asleep at the dinner table. I stared at the screen, watching my carefully constructed 8-year cover story dissolve in real time. Every relative I'd lied to, every excuse I'd made, every crisis I'd managed in secret, they'd all been paying attention anyway, just politely pretending to believe me. They knew. I whispered. We all knew something was wrong. We just didn't know how wrong, or how long you'd been handling it alone. Behind us, Mom had progressed from crying to angry ranting. This is supposed to be a celebration. It's Mother's 80th birthday, and instead of being supportive, everyone's ganging up on me. Sarah, tell them. Tell them how hard I've been trying. I turned to face her, this woman in her stained blue dress and smeared makeup, standing in the wreckage of what should have been a joyful family gathering. For 8 years, I would have jumped to her defense, would have started damage control, would have somehow found a way to spin this disaster into something manageable. Instead, I heard myself saying, Mom, you missed work yesterday and today. Macy's called an hour ago. If you don't call them back by 5 p.m., you're fired. The effect was instantaneous. Her ranting stopped mid-sentence, her face going pale beneath the streaked mascara. What? No, that's not. I called in sick yesterday. I told them I had food poisoning. You were unconscious on the kitchen floor when I got home this morning. Surrounded by exploded potatoes and empty wine bottles. You never called anyone. Uncle Dave checked his watch. It's 4:47 p.m., Linda. 13 minutes. Mom fumbled for her phone with shaking hands, nearly dropping it twice before managing to unlock the screen. I can fix this. I can explain about the family emergency, about the party. It's Saturday, Aunt Carol said gently. HR isn't answering phones today. The realization hit Mom like a physical blow. She sank into the nearest folding chair, her phone sliding from her fingers to clatter on the linoleum floor. I lost my job. Oh God, I lost my job. Sarah, Grandma Ruth's voice was quiet but firm. How much money do you have in savings? The question felt like a violation, asking me to quantify exactly how deep I dug into my own future to keep us afloat. But looking around the room, at all these relatives who'd been watching and worrying while I'd been drowning, I realized secrets were a luxury I could no longer afford. $47, I said. Maybe 53 if the check to the electric company hasn't cleared yet. Uncle Mike whistled low. Jesus, Sarah. What about the money from your graduation? The cards from relatives? Rent. Utilities. Groceries. Her bar tabs when she'd spend the grocery money and we'd have nothing to eat. The silence that followed felt different than before, heavier, more final. I could see understanding dawning on faces around the room as they realized I hadn't just been covering for Mom's drinking. I'd been subsidizing it with my own future, one crisis at a time. My phone rang, cutting through the quiet. Mitchell and Associates, calling on a Saturday afternoon. I answered without thinking. Hello. Sarah, this is Jennifer from HR. I hope you don't mind me calling on the weekend, but we've been discussing your application and we'd like to move forward immediately. The position comes with relocation assistance and a signing bonus. Could you start Monday? 43 relatives stared at me while Mom sat in her folding chair, unemployed and drunk at her mother's birthday party, and a stranger on the phone offered me a way out I'd never thought possible. Monday, I repeated, looking around the community center where my old life was finally, completely falling apart. Yes. I can start Monday. The phone call ended, and I found myself standing in the middle of my family's wreckage with a $52,000 job offer and a signing bonus that would cover first month's rent anywhere I wanted to live. The silence stretched until Grandma Ruth started clapping, slowly at first, then with gathering strength. Good for you, sweetheart, she said, her voice carrying across the room. It's about time. Mom's head snapped up, mascara streaked down her cheeks. You're leaving. Sarah, you can't leave now. I just lost my job, we're behind on rent, you can't abandon me when I need you most. I'm not abandoning you, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. I'm letting you figure out what happens next. But who's going to? She gestured helplessly at the air, at everything and nothing. The bills, the apartment, the... You are. Uncle Dave stepped forward, pulling out his phone. Linda, I'm calling Pine Valley Recovery Center. They have a bed available Monday morning. 30-day program, covered by state insurance. I don't need rehab. Mom's voice cracked. I just need everyone to stop treating me like I'm some kind of alcoholic. Cousin Jenny's voice was quiet but clear. Because that's what you are, Aunt Linda. And Sarah's been your enabler since she was 18. The word hung in the air like smoke. Enabler. I'd heard it before, read about it in Al-Anon pamphlets I'd picked up and thrown away, but hearing it apply to me, to 8 years of my life, felt like being slapped. I was helping, I whispered. You were drowning, Grandma Ruth said gently. Both of you. My phone buzzed with a text from Mitchell and Associates. Asterisk signing bonus is $8,000, available upon start date. Welcome to the team, asterisk. $8,000. More money than I'd seen in my bank account since college. Enough to disappear completely, start over somewhere Mom's emergencies couldn't reach me. The moving truck comes Tuesday, I announced, the decision crystallizing as I spoke. I'm taking my bedroom furniture and my books. Everything else stays. Mom stared at me like I'd spoken in a foreign language. You're serious. You're actually leaving. I got a job in Portland. Marketing coordinator for a nonprofit that builds community gardens. $43,000 starting salary, full benefits, 2 weeks paid vacation I'll actually be allowed to take. Portland's 1,200 miles away, she whispered. I know. Uncle Dave was still on his phone with the recovery center, speaking in low tones about intake procedures and insurance verification. Aunt Carol had started cleaning up the remaining party decorations, moving with the efficient bustle of someone grateful for a task that made sense. Other relatives were gathering their things, hugging Grandma Ruth and whispering promises to call soon. Sarah, Mom stood up unsteadily, reaching for me with shaking hands. Please don't do this. I'll get better, I promise. I'll stop drinking, I'll find another job, You've promised that before. I stepped back, just out of reach. After Christmas 2019 when you passed out in the Walgreens parking lot. After my college graduation when you missed the ceremony. After Danny's wedding when you cried through the entire reception. Every crisis ends with the same promise. But this time you're going to rehab, Uncle Dave interrupted, ending his call. Pine Valley has a bed Monday morning. 30 days minimum. I'm driving you there myself. Mom's face cycled through panic, anger, and something that might have been relief. And if I refuse? Then you refuse, I said simply. But I'm still moving to Portland Tuesday morning, and you'll figure out rent and utilities and groceries on your own. For the first time in 8 years, your choices only affect you. The community center had mostly emptied now, just immediate family remaining to witness the final collapse. Grandma Ruth sat in her purple dress and wilted corsage, looking somehow smaller and more fragile than when the party began. Will you visit? Mom asked, her voice barely audible. I looked at this woman who'd shaped my entire adult life around her crises, who'd cost me jobs and relationships and years of my own dreams while I kept her world from falling apart. The woman who'd just lost her job at her mother's 80th birthday party and was finally, maybe, ready to admit she needed help. After you finish the program, I said. After you've been sober for 6 months. After you can show me you've learned to handle your own emergencies. She nodded slowly, tears starting fresh. Okay. Okay, I can do that. Sarah, Grandma Ruth called me over one last time. She pressed something into my hand, a small envelope with my name written in her careful cursive. For your new apartment. And sweetheart. Happy birthday. Inside was $800 cash and a note, asterisk, every granddaughter deserves a fresh start. Make it count. Asterisk. I hugged her carefully, breathing in her familiar scent of vanilla and lavender, and realized this might be the last family gathering where I was responsible for anyone but myself. Monday morning, I would start a new job 1,200 miles away. Mom would check into rehab or figure out how to survive without me. The bills would get paid or they wouldn't. The apartment would be kept or lost. For the first time in 8 years, none of it was my emergency to solve.